Okay, hello and welcome to another edition of Pinoy Athletics Speed Talk Saturday on the 17th of the 10th, 2020. Um, my name is Enzo Williams. I'm coming to you from Sydney, Australia. Um, I'll just begin the presentation. Okay, so large. Okay, I can see we already have 10 viewers in place. I'll just do a quick shout out. Hello to Zushi Castro, Bong Flores, and 11 other viewers we have online at the moment. The window is open. Okay, so again, welcome to Pinoy Athletics Saturday Speed Talk. Okay, so updates for our site. We've got nearly 22,000 readers to the website today. We've been consistently getting over 1,000, so 1 to 1,500. Last month we had 38,450 readers, which was our new record of after 8 years of operation. It's good considering we mainly had to apply strategies in a non-competition month. The record number of views for that month, so previously it was like 28,700, so we went past that by about 10,000 new viewers. This month so far we've had 18,798 views. The goal for the month is 29 to 32,000 visits, so 40 days left. Part of my work as ATFS Vice President, I've actually paid some good money to acquire rare athletic Philippine results from the 1930s to the 1970s. I'm also in the process of finishing off my Level 3 Athletics Australia Sprints and Hurdles coaching with 2 more class sessions in the next 2 weeks, which finalizes my completion of the accreditation. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to bring up, and we did as part of our revamp on our site, we posted about this training in the rain. So this is a photo of an athlete that I'm training in Calapan City, Pia, native of Surigao, 22-year-old former school 400-meter finalist who currently works with Fruitus Company. So if she's out there training in the rain, on an all-weather track, if you have an all-weather track that you can use, what is your excuse? She is making a comeback to sport. At first, she had all the typical Filipino mentalities or phobias of training in the rain. The fact is, that you're going to get sick if you train in the rain and that sort of stuff. I mean, in Manila, yeah, because there's chemicals in the water and that sort of thing. But in the province, the air is pretty clean, so I can't see how that could be a major issue. I mean, just bring a towel, change your clothes, another clean pair of socks, obviously, and just make sure that you sort of wash up afterwards. And I'm actually more concerned because she actually needs to get a pair of spikes. That's more of the concern about running on this wet track is, you need to get a pair of spikes so you don't slip over here, or not a pair of flats. So that's more of the concern is that you might slip over rather than that you're going to get really sick from rain, which I've only ever encountered in the Philippines. Other countries I've been to with athletes training, like they've never had the excuse, oh, it's raining, I'm not going to train today, sort of thing. It's only something I've encountered in the Philippines. In other countries, it's pretty much unheard of. It's sort of, I don't know how it's ingrained in mentality. So through persistent coaching on my part and reading the article I've provided, pinoyathletics.info, I can't train, it's raining. she was able to overcome that mindset. So the first thing with training athletes is developing that strong mindset. Because effectively, if an athlete's going to be distracted from rain during training, then in competition they're going to be they may end up really inconsistent, because they're not used to training in these sort of conditions. If it pisses down rain in a competition, you really can't do much. You're not exactly going to go home and just skip the meet. Well, you could. It would depend on how important the meet is. But obviously, it's an all-weather track, so like all kinds of weather you need to train, unless there's a typhoon or something blowing over trees, which is a entirely different story. But then you can just arrange alternative workouts indoors, which can be used instead. So I'm just going to quickly read some key points from the article, but it's down the bottom, so you can feel free to just grab a coffee or something and have a good read of it. So yeah, just like what I've noticed in the Facebook room is I'm not sure if people don't have balance or something to be able to log into the account and they're just using free Facebook or something. But when like when I post articles and stuff, it would be a good idea to sort of read the article or at least skim read it rather than just reading the headline. The headline doesn't really, it tells you what the article's about, but it doesn't actually, go into the points of the article. It just tells you like what the article's about, but it doesn't, give you the meat of what's actually in the article. So I'm just looking at the article now. So packing an emergency bag for training in the rain. Change of clothes, especially extra socks. Heck, pack 5 pairs if you want, the more the better. Dry shoes also, sandals, towels, some soap, shoes with the right amount of grip, an umbrella, and your game face. So yeah, with rain, just make sure that you've got shoes that you're not going to slip over in, and have shoes that like spikes on this track, obviously, or shoes with grip if it's another surface. When I was coaching out at Zamboanga, I had I had a group of 18 sprinters, and we trained. Even if it rained lightly, we trained. If it rained heavily, then we went to the gym and we did drills, circuit, medicine balls, plyos, like strides and and some jogging, that sort of stuff, like plyo boxes as well. We had an alternate workout planned indoors if it rained heavy, so that way the athletes were still getting a workout. It's like rather than just doing nothing. So it's better to have a contingency plan if it rains. All right, moving on to the next article. So this is a video, I think, of me running in the rain. I'm not sure how well this is going to play out on here. I think I might have to, oh, there we go. This is a video of me running up in north of Sydney, about 5 hours, at a place called Maxwell on a grass track when it's raining. I don't think that's going to play, so I just have to run it off YouTube. Just bear with me for a minute. I'm just going to have to load that up through YouTube instead. This is from 2008 when I was 24 years of age. I'm just going to have to share a different screen because it's obvious. So yeah, this is run on a grass track. It's a handicapped 300-meter race. 3 athletes starting at different marks, very common in Australia. You can see it's pissing down with rain. So my coach is there in the brown, so he was also in this race. Let's see if I can move it along a bit. So yeah, it's when what I'm getting at is it's like situations like this where you need to actually be used to training in the rain. Like because it could be pissing down this much during an actual race. So that's why if you're not used to it, it's going to basically affect you a lot more than if you're used to training in these conditions, which make it more of a bearable situation. Um, Moving to the next. Okay, so we've got some birthday greetings now for some athletes. I'll just share the screen. Okay. So first birthday greeting to Luma Baloitan Gabido, former number one Philippine sprinter in the 100 from 98 to 2003, number one Filipino long jump from 2000 to 2004, PB of 11.3 hand timed, so 11.61 electronic, 2000 Olympian in the 100, Asian Championship silver long jump, Asian African silver in the long jump, Asian Championships in the bronze of long jump in 2003, 2003 SEA Games champion in the women's long jump, former joint national record holder in the women's long jump at 656 meters, Olympian in the long jump in 2004 at his second Olympic Games, and national coach. So Luma turns, I think it's 46 today. So we're just wishing happy birthday to Luma. And also happy birthday to the following athletes: 2005 SEA Games silver in the women's pole vault, and former record holder Deborah Sampson, who held the Philippine record for 11 years from 2008 to 2019 with the 411-meter mark before it was eventually broken by Natalie Uwai. And also a special shout out to a very good friend of athletics, Keith Sharper, former coach of Eric Cray. Keith was was coaching Eric at the time when Eric first contacted Pinoy Athletics back in late 2012, early 2013, when Eric had the intention of signing up to compete for the Philippines. So Keith was looking after his training back then. Okay. Now, update on the Singapore Chartered Marathon, no longer an Olympic qualifying event. We reread an article which was stating that, from a few days ago, which was stating that Christian Halaska was due to enter the Singapore Standard Chartered Marathon with arrangements put in place. However, anonymous tip told us that the event was no longer pushing through, and the event was going to be done virtually due to restrictions coming in and out of Singapore. So to clarify this matter, we contacted the organisers of the Singapore Standard Chartered Marathon to see what they had to say. via Facebook, and the organisers sent me back this message when I queried. When I first queried about will the event continue, they're saying they hope so. Some of it might be virtual, some of it might be, an actual race format, but they weren't sure at the stage. I asked my next question: is the event going to be like still an Olympic qualifier? If is it still going to be an Olympic qualifying race due to the uncertainty of the event actually being held? Like without a lot of it having to be a virtual event. They said, thank you for reaching out, Enzo. The Singapore Chartered Singapore Marathon 2020 will not be part of the qualifying events for the Tokyo 2021 Olympics. We wish you the best on your road to Tokyo. So I've published the article. You can actually read my corrections to the middle of standard on Singapore Standard Chartered Marathon via pinoyathletics. I've actually just going to quickly go to that article and just read off some of it. So that article was actually pushed out on the 16th. I'm just this is what was read out. Hey there, the Singapore Chartered Marathon will adopt an alternative race format to replace the traditional road race, comprising of virtual and possible physical components that are being explored and will be dependent on gathering regulations. The race will allow runners to take part in the race safely with no road closures or major stakeholder disruptions, and virtually, and still look forward to the signature finisher experience, complete with a finisher photo for runners to celebrate their accomplishments. Planning for the race is still ongoing and more details will be shared soon. So yeah, we've got the full article listed here. We did interview Christine Halasgo prior, and we have talked in regards. So yeah, like there some other points from the article is where Christine trains in Book of Non, there is no home track, so she's been training a lot in the roads and the road hills, according to sources. We've posted all our corrections and our comments in red on this article in red ink, so I will not go any further into it. If you would like to read more about the article, the link is down the bottom. Singapore Standard Chartered Marathon on pinoyathletics.info. Okay, I'll just quickly do some shout outs. I'm just having a look at the site. Okay, just okay. We have 7 people viewing in. We'll have more shout outs to Zijing Lee, Virginia Wanza, Bon Flores, Rich Padayo, and Zushi Castro. Okay. I'll move to the next slide as I have another Zoom thing to attend after this. So we've now published on our website, and this is in cooperation with our good friends, the Talking Chinoy, Stefan, who does a terrific and wonderful job of promoting and giving, exposure and some publicity to Filipino athletes and athletics, in particular long distance runners, which is a specialty. He has a great YouTube channel called Talking Chinoy. I would encourage you to check it out, subscribe, because he does some great interviews, some great research into, like, he puts a lot of thought into what he does with his presentations, and illustrates and explains it in a very exciting manner. So yeah, this is basically our half marathon all-time list. This is rare material you'll not find anywhere else. I mean, there's nothing like this has been prepared on the internet. Even the other statisticians, no one's delved into the realms of the half marathon from the Philippines yet, and all the information is there on pinoyathletics.info at Half Marathon Philippines. I mean, if there's we welcome any amendments and any additions to this. You can email pinoyathletics@gmail.com if you have information which hasn't been included here, which we can definitely look into. This is a joint research project between myself, Andrew Perry, the ATFS, the Association of Track and Field Statisticians Vice President, with Stefan, our very own Talking Chinoy. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. So yeah, we interviewed him the other day. Unfortunately, we were having some sound issues, so we weren't able to capture, what he had to say. But I did take notes on the interview. We asked him some very interesting questions, and I transcribed the interview, and it is now available. pinoyathletics.info, Mervyn Guate. Now, we asked Mervyn very interesting questions about, was there the possibility that he might, with no obstacle course racing in the 2021 SEA Games, is there the chance he may take up athletics again in the future? What other events has he got coming up in OCR? How is the training different in OCR? We went through his career history from his early days in the Polarong Pambamsa as a grade 3 athlete right up until the days he had those amazing duels with the greatest middle distance runner in Southeast Asian Games history, Dong Van Thai of Vietnam. And those matches that he pushed Dong Van Thai to his absolute limits, and those enthralling 1,500 meters, which won't be forgotten. To the day, basically, he ended up moving over to OCR and finally capturing that elusive gold medal after stacking his silverware cupboard with so many, medals. I think he won 5 silvers in athletics with SEA Games before finally winning that elusive gold in the 5K obstacle course racing at the 2019 SEA Games in Alabama. Mervyn has been added to the Legends of Track and Field, and you can read more about Legends of Track and Field on Pinoy Athletics. We have a whole section dedicated to these amazing male and female athletes from the last 100 years. Mervyn, of course, still holds the Philippine senior and junior record at 3:47.65 in the 1,500 meters, and he's held that record for 11 years now. The unified 1,500 meter record, which is both concurrently shared by him as a junior athlete with the senior record as attached to that. Okay, now our next feature, this is about another legend of Philippine track and field, the late great Inocencia Solis, obviously, who around 60 or so years ago made a huge impact on the history of women's sports in the Philippines when she became the first sprint women's champion of the Philippines at the 1958 Asian Games, winning both the 1 and the 200 meter dash. Prior to that, the Asian Games was the Far East Asian Games, which started in the 20s and 30s, and women were not included in the program of athletics. It wasn't until the Asian Games started in 1951 that women were allowed to compete in the athletics editions. And having been to the 1954 Asian Games, Inocencia Solis had been the bronze medalist at those editions at the age of 22. So, she came back at the age of 26 years of age in 1958, and she made history by becoming the first ever woman to win the 100-meter dash, which of course set off a legacy of women Asian Games and Asian champions, which included Mona Lisa-Lyman, Melita Lenis, and Lydia De Vega. So she basically was the forerunner of all those athletes, or the prototype, the one that started off that legacy of great Filipino 100-meter runners. And we wrote to MMK asking, she should be featured as the original Asian Games sprint queen. We provided them information, and then they said we'll definitely check this out, and surely, the check out her story. I firmly believe it's one worth telling. From the golden era of Philippine track and field, when they were actually winning several golds at the Asian Games and the sprints and the other, in several events. They were coming back with many gold medals back then. At that time, in the 50s and 60s, and Solis, of course, she was part of the powerhouse Central Institute of Technology team, which dominated women's athletics in the 1950s and 60s, and that also included the probably the greatest of Philippine track women athletes, Josephine de la Viña, who made it, right up to 11th place in the final at the 1968 Olympic Games in Mexico in the women's discus, and her record has actually stood for 50 plus years. But all these women who came through the Central Institute of Technology were coached by the forgotten Fructosa Soriano, and I believe that, if any anthology was to be made of Innocence Solis, then definitely her longtime coach, Fructosa Soriano, should also be strongly featured in this, as well as, of course, Mona Lisa-Lyman and Evangelista Onofre, all the figures who surrounded the athletic period at that time. Of course, moving on to the next slide. Okay, that looks like it for today. I'll just give a shout out to everybody who joined. It's been a 30-minute session, so with 10 slides, I expected it to be about 30 minutes. I actually got to attend another Zoom conference with someone else in about an hour. But just a special shout out, and then I might take some feedback and look at comments, because I had to cut it a bit short. So shout out to Cecil Duazo. Who else have we got joining us today? Pia, Virginia Wanza, and Shanzio Libra. Okay, I'm just going to have a quick look at the Facebook account to see if there's any commentaries here. Sometimes there's comments I overlook in the Facebook account, as it's sort of like, I've got several windows open at once. Okay, cool. All right, I think, these are just impromptu. These things are just rather impromptu these days, because I sort of just do them more as roundups now. So again, we're really updating our site. Check out our great materials, share, spread the word on pinoyathletics.info. Hopefully we'll have more guests and more updates coming. Usually we do Tuesdays. We do Track Talk Tuesday. Then either Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, depending on the schedule, depending what else is going on, as we do not like to really overlap, our Zoom session, our webinar sessions with other things that are going on at the time. So anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in, and bye.